those snaps. The man, the myth, the legend has joined us, everybody. Bryce Sinclair, special guest for today, has jumped on this podcast with us. How are you doing today, Bryce?
I am doing well and sorry for being late. Thank you for accommodating me and thank you for having me back. It's good to see y'all faces.
All good, all good. We're just happy to have you here. We saw like what was going on Instagram with you being in a comic show past week or last weekend?
Yeah, it was on Wednesday, the 3rd. Yeah, it was at Flappers in Burbank, California. It's called the Uncle Clyde's Contest, and it's one of the longest running contests in Southern California. So yeah, it was pretty fun, man. I had a great time. A lot of great comics, and it's my first show ever, so that's a huge step in the right direction for me. And I had a lot of support, so it was a fun time.
So, do you know like were there any other off the top of your head? Do you know any other famous comedians that have started there or like have get their show there?
They had a list. The most famous dude I know is this guy named Kingsley. He's in commercials. He's a black dude. He's in a few different commercials, and he's a comic that works in LA as well. So, but there's been a few others that are pretty famous that have come through there.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right, Herb, I have a million questions, but I'll let you go first. So go right ahead.
Same. But my first question was, how was the experience? Give me you remember how in game day you had a routine?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got your music, you got your power bar, whatever it is. What was kind of your routine for this, since this is new for you? This was your first one. Did you kind of pull from the football one, or did you kind of create a new routine with music or snacks or, mindset? Kind of walk me through that moment.
So, you kind of know me. I'm kind of regimented. When I find my schedule, I stick to that. So it's kind of, I have adapted some of the football stuff. On Wednesdays, I usually go to the 5:00 open mic there. So I decided to do that just to warm up, just to get my brain snapping, get things firing. And then like I used to do on game day, just visualize myself up there. Also, just going over the game plan, which is the joke, So I was just reviewing the joke until it was time to go up there, try to be as present as I can. With the other comics and listen to their sets to see if I could pick anything and do a callback or anything like that. So just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying to make sure that I have the right schedule for myself and things like that.
Yeah. So okay, we've seen your comment comedian stuff on Instagram. Irv, I forgot the plug of that. Oh, there it is. At the Spicy Diaper. And that's at _ the Spicy Diaper. You can find Bryce's comedians kind of shows. I'm sorry, that was really bad of me, Bryce. My bad. Irv is dying laughing because he knows how awkward that was.
I'm not sure.
No, it's because the gamer headset fell as soon as he did it. It was like perfect. Like, wait, oh, hold on. I got it.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's a little different. I don't do those characters on stage yet. I'm thinking about bringing them out. I don't know. But Spicy Diaper might be getting shut down. I don't know, because of Instagram and all my violations that I have on there. So I might be promoting a different handle soon. I don't know yet.
Quick question. Are you at least top 10, top 5 in violations? You shooting for that #1 violation spot?
Nah, man, I don't want to get it shut down because it's grown so much over like the last year and a half, bro.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I have calmed down with the violations, but they get me for stuff like, I think I remixed the fight video and it said I was promoting fighting. And I'm like, I'm not the one fighting. I'm just the one that's calling out like, hey, these people shouldn't be fighting. And I've gotten the strike for that. So Instagram is a little weird. Some of the things I have done, I'm like, all right, yeah, that was a little too far. But then there's some things I'm like, wait, how is this illegal? I didn't say anything against the community of any sort. But they say the video is promoting certain things, and I'm like, the original video is still up, so how does that work?
yeah, that's because you usually get your videos off of Instagram, correct?
Straight from Instagram. I'm remixing everything off Instagram.
That's interesting how that works. Anyhow, back to the comic show. What made you want to do this?
It's always been in me. I don't know if Irv has told you stories about me, but like, people will be talking and I'll have a whole side conversation with Irv or some of my other friends about some of the stuff that they're saying, because we've interacted with some weird, some funny, some crazy people up in Idaho. Like somebody will be having we'll be having like a serious conversation with somebody, and Irv would laugh at the wrong time, and they're like, why is he laughing? But they don't hear me basically having like a side conversation with Irv about how ridiculous whatever topic we're talking about is, or their thought process about something. I've always entertained my family and friends. That included the football locker room. I've had a lot of great stories about my dad, him being a Jamaican, and my observations of how people treated us, or how he interacted with people. So I'm always telling stories, and always trying to make light of situations, because I'm not gonna lie, my time at Idaho was rough, the first and the second time, but you never saw me without a smile on my face or trying to make somebody laugh. So comedy is medicine for me. Laughter is medicine. Seeing people smile, just having thought-provoking, conversations, or putting things out there. Comedy is also a big teacher as well, because you hear a lot of things that you might not want to hear in a regular conversation, but if you could laugh at yourself and laugh at that concept, that could change a person's day, change a person's mind, things like that. So that's some of the reasons why I've gotten, pushed to go towards comedy. And the reason why I haven't done it sooner is just because lack of confidence, things like that. So I've always wanted to do it. I just didn't think I had the talent to do it to like an audience that didn't know me, because I know my sister's humor, I know Irv's humor, and I can hit those different points to make people laugh, so. But making an audience laugh is pretty cool that doesn't know you.
I was gonna say, what kind of made you pull the trigger on this finally? Because that being so vulnerable in front of people that you don't know, that aren't family or friends, that don't know you, and you're trying to make them laugh, could be extremely, difficult, but also it could be scary as well. So I was just wondering, what made you pull this trigger and go out there and do this?
I'll credit a lot of people. Of course, I'm putting work in, but my lady Desiree, she has put a battery in my back. I call myself a lifelong learner, but then there's been rough patches where I feel a little overworked, I feel a little understimulated, and I just crawl back into my shell of a side of Bryce, just in my own world. But a lot of people are just like, hey man, you're talented, you have something to say, the world needs this type of stuff, yada yada yada. But I ended up going to this thing called Groundlings, and this is like almost like a feeder to the SNL type stuff. It's improv, but it's also sketches, and I love sketches and things like that. I met a 19-year-old named Sophie Hefner. Shout out to her. And everybody knows, mid 30s, right? A 19-year-old with all this energy about being a stand-up and doing improv. She's like, hey man, you're funny. Like, stop doubting yourself, just get out there. So I credit a 19-year-old also with putting a battery in my back, and like I'm like, damn, I don't have as much time as she does. Like, she has a lot of time to like figure out comedy. If I want to do this, I don't have as much time as her, and she's already balls to the wall going for it. So I need to do the same thing. And like, I'm okay with modeling myself after a 19-year-old. I tell this story all the time, that there's just one time where I asked Irv for one of his papers in college. He was like, hey man, don't copy my paper. I'm like, bro, once you see my paper, is going to be totally different. I just need your structure, man. I just need to know how to get this done. He read my paper. He felt super comfortable. I'm like, see, I didn't take any of your ideas. I just need structure. So that's a big thing with me. I copied Sophie's structure. She's like, hey, come to this open mic. I've started doing open mics in late October. Just trying to see if, I'm decent or if I'm good. I kept on getting good reviews from people about some of the concepts and my delivery. Of course, I don't have the science down yet. I don't have all the formulas for comedy down yet at all. I'm only like 6 to 7 months in. But like been a very supportive community, just accepting me. Acceptance is huge for me. I haven't been accepted in a lot of spaces. Idaho didn't really accept me in Irv. We were kind of conundrums, Black dudes getting 3 degrees each. That's different. So the comedy community has really accepted me, and a lot of older OGs just keep on pushing me and say, hey, yeah, just keep on coming back, keep on formulating things, keep on doing things. So there's been a few people in my life that have pushed me to get out of my comfort zone, and that Groundlings class did that. And then I just kept on taking steps forward when I know the way how to go. That's a big thing, is structure. So Sophie provided that structure. Desiree told me, hey, just keep on investing in yourself. And then all the people that I met in the community have just been, really good, even though it's, competitive nature out here in LA, or if you go to New York, it's very competitive. But I haven't met anybody that's like that way. You know, it's like everybody at this level is just trying to push each other to be better and listen to each other, you know. So yeah.
Awesome. Go ahead, Irv.
So all right, I got a question for you in regards to the comedy aspect of it. Where do you get your material from? Are you drawn from your actual experience, or because you're very creative? I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Bryce is like super creative writing wise, like creating different characters, creating different content. I know you guys see a lot of stuff on his Instagram page with at the Spicy Diaper, but there's a lot more to Bryce than just that. And I've known Bryce for years. So when I say he could create something out of nothing, like I mean create something out of nothing. Like one of my favorite ones is when you were talking about going when we were at the store, or you guys were at the store with Tay, and he was talking about homogenized. And for some reason, it's a regular word, homogenized. But for some reason, Bryce brought it to life. I mean, like spectacularly to life. Like the whole football locker room for weeks was like homogenized.
So, all right, let me tell the story real quick. So we went to Greenwood, who was one of our wide receivers. His family's well off, so they invited us to 4th of July weekend. They had flank steak. They did far and beyond. Like they weren't even there, but they marinated all this meat, did all these different things. The morning that we're leaving, they actually get back. And like there's milk on the table, and it's homogenized. Everybody knows the word homogenized, but this dude said, wait, these people are so rich they got homogenocide milk. We're like, what is homogenocide milk, bro? I looked at it, I'm like, homogenized, bro? There's no genocide in here. Like, what? And so like I took that story back, and everybody that was there, like they were like, everybody's like, wait, I've heard of 1%, I've heard of 2%, I've heard of skim milk, I've heard of buttermilk, but I've never heard of homogenocide milk, yo. So like that was a story for the summer and for that season that just cracked everybody up. And it's just like an innocent thing, you know, like people say things wrong. Yeah. Some people say things wrong. Yeah. I guess Deontay never heard homogenized.
But it has so much life that people like, not even saying it incorrectly, saying it correctly. People are like, homogenized. Everybody's walking around talking about this. Oh, this homogenized. Oh, this fire right here. And you just like, like this word is gotta die at some point. But Bryce gave it life. So speak to the creativity of your jokes and where you're pulling that from is what I was trying to get. That one just got me every time.
Well, if anybody knows that how to speak some words wrong, it's me. I did it earlier in the show as well. Pronounced Rui's name wrong, so
it happened.
I feel you all on that one. If anybody could do this, I can relate to that.
I still don't say the Greek freak's last name. I'm not trying that. But for as far as the creativity part, basically the world is I mean, there's so many stories and headlines that are coming out, right? So I try to flip those and look on like the comedic side for some of those things. But I started to notice in open mics, a guy pulled me to the side. He was like, hey man, whenever you talk about yourself, or you talk about your Jamaican roots, or you talk about living in LA and what you've experienced, or your football stuff, like and he said, it's just me personally, but I connect with that much more, and it's so much more funny than like in your topical stuff, like, you know, headlines, those are hilarious. But like when we get to see who you are and you peel back a layer of the onion of yourself, like it gives great insight, and it's even funnier because it's not just you, it is you. Like it's more you than you can ever present to anybody. And I'm like, oh, okay. So of course I still do the topical things, like, you know, some of the funny stuff that comes out or something that might strike me funny. But I'm getting deeper into myself. Like my first joke that I told for the show was about my name. So I'm really drawn from my experience at Idaho, which was kind of unique, you know, as Irv could tell you, as coming from Southern California to Northern Idaho. Also drawing from my experience of trying to get a job after, you know, getting 3 degrees and then getting my master's. I probably filled out 500 to 600 applications between the 2 times of just getting one job. And that's what it took to get a job that it doesn't even pay that well. So, you know, and I have 4 degrees and I'm overqualified for so much. So that is all funny in the world of Bryce, because of that's what I'm living. That's what I'm experiencing. How can I flip this without going crazy or going mad because I know I'm getting discriminated against, or I know something's happening, you know? I can always look to the funny side, because we did get discriminated against a lot against in Idaho, and we don't really speak of it, but we just make jokes out of it so that we don't get too mad, or, you know, that we can digest what's happening to us and not be too traumatized and things like that. So a lot of the comedy is, for me, is dealing with my real life, dealing with my perspective on things. Some of them go with society, some of them go against the grain. But yeah, just drawing from myself, you know, that's the big thing I've noticed, and a lot of people tell me to continue to doing, is just excavate myself.
Cam, you got a question? Go ahead.
Thank you for that, Bryce. I was gonna ask you, so put us kind of in your shoes right when you're about to go up there. What's going through your mind? And then as you kind of see the whole stage and everything, what kind of got you to get going, made you feel comfortable? And or did you ever feel comfortable in it, or were you just completely nervous the whole time? Just kind of put us in your shoes as you're going up there.
For this one, it was kind of nerve-wracking, because this one is for the marbles. Like I got a lot more laughs because it's a regular audience. When you're going to these open mics, it's all comedians who are working on their own stuff, trying to get the formula right for themselves, and they're really critical, you know. So I was nervous, I was anxious, but then just, you know, being able to see the people that came to support me, I saw their face in the crowd, even though it was super dark. My sister was there, Desiree was there, Desiree's friend was there, my best friend Scott and his sister were there, old co-worker, my sister's high school friends were there. So seeing them already smiling with my face, just seeing my face and me grabbing the mic, that was like, oh, we're back down to earth. Like, just start saying the parts. And it's kind of, well, I did mess up a little. I stumbled a little, but I don't hold it against myself, you know, my first show. But after I stumbled, I rebounded really well and then got a lot of laughs. So for me, when I'm up there, if I could get the ball rolling, it's almost like the juggernaut with momentum. You know, once I get the ball rolling, and I'm not up there saying, if I could just get the first sentence out, the first statement, or whatever the case is, that helps me. And that did help me. Again, I stumbled, but then I got back on track. And it's, for me, it's just connecting the dots to each little thought, you know, or each little joke. And sometimes it's hard to connect those dots if I forget like a little part of the joke or one word. And that's what happened when I stumbled. But again, I was able to get back on track. So after I got back on tracks, it was smooth sailing from then. And it was like an outer body experience, because I was just trying to look and connect with people and look them in their eyes. And that's a big thing for me, is like connection. And Irv will tell you that, like, I like connecting with people that I chill with. Like, if I'm around you, there's a reason why I'm around you, because I like your energy, you know? And that's a thing, is if you can connect with the audience, you can get them to laugh more, you know, you can seduce them to laugh more, or seduce them to see your thoughts more, whatever the case is. Yeah.
So this was your first stand-up, correct?
Yeah, this was my first show ever.
Oh, and you took third.
You took third. I tied for third. Yeah.
We'll just say you took third. We won't. We don't ties. The only football ties I know about, or ties, not football. The only ties I know about are in soccer. And, you know, I don't like how things end in ties. There's a winner and a loser in things. So we will say you took third.
I took third.
So what your award was a big something big of fries, correct?
Yeah, it was the biggest bowl of fries I've ever seen.
Did you eat it all?
No. So I just listed off a bunch of people. They helped me eat. The people that stayed, they helped me eat. And then also put this in quotes, like, or parentheses, the guy that won two with me, that tied with me, of course, him and his people had some too. So we just brought it out to the audience like, hey, I am not going to eat all these fries. I will have a heart attack. Like, this is enough to feed like 10 to like 20 people worth of fries, bro.
Wow.
How much ranch did you go for? Because you a big ranch dude. I seen this man take down a whole bowl of ranch. He's at a restaurant with fries, and I was like, my God.
I eat my weight in ranch, so yeah. So they bought out a ton of ketchup, and Dee looked at me, and she was like, oh yeah, that's not gonna work. Let's go get you some more ranch, baby. And I was like, we went through like 3 little things of ranch. Yeah. Well, just for myself. I mean, other people had to go get their own ranch. I ain't sharing that. I'll share the fries, but not the ranch, yo.
I'm just wondering, so this is your first one. Have you prepared yourself for a heckler at all? If someone comes heckles you. Now, mind you, I want to let the heckler know if they've listening to this, if they do decide to heckle, you're a big person. Like in Zoom, you look like an average person, but you are a big human being. Like you and Irv, like are close to what I call extraterrestrial, like Giannis, and just you guys are big. I don't want to mess with you guys.
Bro, if he ever met Mike, he would die.
Yeah. But like Irv knows me. I'm a teddy bear. Like I'm a good boy until the fangs have to come out. You know,
he a grizzly bear. That's a lie.
No, man, I'm chill.
It's three kind of bears in this world that you don't want to mess with. You don't want to mess with a black bear, a brown bear, and a polar bear. Now, the most dangerous one is a polar bear. You in between. You a grizzly. You sometimes a mess with a tree.
Hold on.
Other times you might steal a picnic basket and just walk out.
But am I on the
offense
you in
the middle?
Defense?
You're a grizzly.
Am I on the offense or defense though? For the most part. I'm not a bully. I'm not a bully though.
Defense. That's why I gave you grizzly. Because grizzly in the middle. Grizzly in the middle. I didn't say you was a black bear. You're gonna run off and then get scared and be like, I'm not gonna fight. But you definitely in grizzly bear territory. You're not polar, but you grizzly.
So to tell you the truth, a lot of clubs do not allow you to heckle. I have been heckled like at an open mic, but it wasn't like trying to challenge me. Like they're almost like answering a question that like I rhetorically said, like, you're not supposed to answer it, but they answered it. And somebody told them to be quiet, let them like work. And I was like, hey, yo, like there doesn't need like it wasn't anything hostile towards me, and I haven't had any hostility towards me. And if it comes, it comes. You know, I know as a comedian, I'm taking chances, you know. All the things that I'm going to say are not going to be laughed at. They're not going to be okay. But again, this is me searching for something, you know, like Irv knows my heart. I'm not out there to demean anybody's humanity or anything like that. I think that you can make fun of anybody and everybody in a tasteful way. And with that, hopefully, you know, if I do get heckled, it's not about something that, like I said, that they think is malicious. Like heckling is going to come with it. Like people are, you know, especially in some of these clubs, they're going to be drunk as hell. And if that comes, hey, I'm there to obliterate. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I will tear somebody. Irv has seen me tear people down, you know, and it's nothing for me to do that. But again, that person was on the offense and I was on the defense. And when I get on the defense, that's not a good thing. And I don't play offense, you know, like I'm not out there trying to.
That's a lie. That's a lie. So I'm gonna time out.
What?
I'm gonna tell y'all like this. If you get, like he talked about, if you get the ball rolling offensively for him, he will punish you. I'm telling. I've seen people heckle or like try and combat Bryce in regards to like he's being defensive. He's like, all right, cool, you know, I'm gonna defend myself. But I've seen him where they flip that switch in Bryce just enough that he's so far on them, they leaving and he's still talking about them. They trying to get their stuff together. He's still grinding on them.
But I don't like that though. No, I don't like that part of me though. Like I really don't.
But I'm saying you got that dog. You got that dog. Like once I bite, I'm all the way in. You might as well call it. You might as well call it pest control because this bite ain't coming off. This lockjaw right here.
But
I just let y'all know he a teddy bear. He cool as can be. He'll joke with you, but if you start pushing it, you gonna get towed back. Like remember Kaepernick? Remember the dude with the Kaepernick comment back in my graduation party? Yeah, he got roasted to death. He had to leave when he was still leaving. Bryce was roasting him by the time he left, we got a text message from another friend. He said he feel real bad. He was embarrassed. He had to leave. It's like, no, he had to leave because he couldn't take that pressure. Because pressure was
bro, I know I'm a comedian, but I'm also an intellectual. We're both intellectuals. How many degrees do we have from the University of Idaho? And we study psychology and sociology. So you can't come to us with dumb arguments. You can't come to us without looking at the other side of the argument. And that's what we were taught when we were writing our theses and many other things. Look at all the variables of everything. And if you're ignoring some of the variables that really matter, you're going to get embarrassed. And that's what happened to that guy when he was talking to us about Kaepernick. You didn't think about this side. So like, hey, I'm going to point out a side that really matters and roast your ass while I'm doing it because you didn't even think about that. You didn't even have the mental capacity to pass that through your brain about the other person's side, you know? So
I'm just letting y'all know he grizzly. That's why I said grizzly. I just want to give some context why I say grizzly now.
How much of this sociology and psychology do you put into also your comic act? Like, because you mentioned that I'm wondering, since do you pull from like your humor from that as well, knowing that like, hey, I can use this to my advantage since I kind of studied this.
Yeah, no doubt. I've used that a lot. I still use my sociology today. One of my favorite things to do in life is just people watch, and I call that sociology 101 to 401. Like I could go to a beach with anybody and just sit back and look at people and how they interact with their environment, interact with the world, and all that. And I draw from that because I pick out certain characteristics in people and like, oh, that's funny, that's hilarious. With the psychology, yeah, breaking down people's minds. I need to be able to do that and get into people's minds. And of course, I'm not going to get every audience member to laugh at everything. I know that because some jokes aren't for certain people. Like one of the jokes that, like the joke that I said, I had some of the white people pulling back in the audience, but they had no way not to laugh. They had to laugh at it, you know?
Yeah.
And the line was like, my name sounds like a guy that belongs in a sleeveless flannel with a MAGA hat on at an NRA convention yelling, get her done. And they pulled back, but I'm like, listen to Bryce Sinclair with 4 degrees on paper. That does not sound like a black dude at all. Like Bryce Sinclair with 4 degrees from the University of Idaho, that sounds like the whitest guy ever, you know? And they were like, damn, damn, he got us. Yeah, I lived in Idaho for 10 years off and on. I've seen these people. I've been to Coeur d'Alene. I've been to Sandpoint. I've been around those areas. These people are alive and well. So yeah, I do use a lot of my intellectual background because it helps me get even deeper. Like even after I came off the stage, I said something to one of the other comics and they're like, oh, wow, you really do have a master's degree. And I'm like, yo, this is a low level thought. That it doesn't take a master's degree to come to that conclusion of what I told another comic. But again, I do use that because it does help me.
Now, I do have a question about your material. As you become more and more confident in going on stage, more and more confident in the material you're producing, are you going to drift over into a little bit more, and you don't have to answer this right now if you don't feel comfortable, political, religious? Are you going to start hitting on those things as you get deeper into like this thought process? Because you're a very deep thinker. You're not just a top layer type individual. It's like I'm shooting for laughs. You're shooting also to educate people, as you said, within your humor. So is that going to become more of a like once you get that kind of that confidence and build that kind of material, are you going to go in that direction potentially?
I think I kind of have, like with my poetry, you know, I've been writing. I'm just a writer, right? So I love poetry. And one of the things I used to like doing is just writing regular poetry. But then there was this thing that I would do for my grandma where it was like Black contemporary issues and write poems about that. Is that political and religious? It's all of the above, but it's not just that. So to answer your question specifically, I think I will have some content or jokes that do derive about my situation or our situation, culture things, you know. I've said certain things about the Black culture, like, hey, what's up with all these BBLs? What's up with all this, you know, fake stuff? I like real women, you know. And that can go all around the spectrum of whatever you want to talk about when it comes to womanhood and things like that, especially what's going on with our world. I was recently in a DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion seminar, and I'm like, where's the Black representation? Like, I don't see any Black guys around here. It almost sounds like DEI is anti-Blackness, where all these other groups who have basically ridden the coattails of Black people when it comes to civil rights. We're not even asking for human rights. We're asking for civil rights. How these other people have gotten these rights before we have. And we're still asking for things like reparations when, hey, like the Holocaust didn't happen on American soil, but Jewish people got reparations. What happened in World War II, where we did what we did in internment camps with Japanese people and Asian, they got reparations. And then like one of the jokes I'm working on is like, what is America without Black people? What is America without the contributions of Black people? Like you want to call Black people lazy and all this stuff, but we had a great record up until 1865, you know, like what's, you know, like what are we really talking about?
Well, even after that first open heart surgeries, a lot of the modern medicine has come from doctors who experimented on Black women and Black people in general. Exactly. We've got we've got a rich history, history.
I mean, if you just research Henrietta Lacks and what they did to her, if you just research the Tuskegee Airmen, if you research things like eminent domain, where they just take people's Black people's lands, there's so many lakes that are on top of Black communities. The 10 freeway in LA, for like some of these things, that affects me, you know, that affects my people. So it's political, but it's also, that's just life, you know? So I will dive into some of these topics and give my perspective. But I have to do a lot more research as well so that I'm giving the right perspective and telling the truth, because you know, there's, like I told you, there's some things in the Black community that I want to address that aren't good, you know, like gangs. We still have a bunch of gang issues. Like, what? Like, how do we expect to get past anything, and we can't even unite on certain fronts, you know? Like,
we still talk about we don't eat seafood. And if you look at our culture and original culture, we were seafood based, plant based. We weren't eating pigs and all of that till American, and that's in slavery. That's when slavery happened. You were trying to survive, so you would eat chitlins and pig feed and all that other stuff. That's not our actual dietary supplement that we need to be ingesting. We are really a plant-based, ocean-based type. We love water, technically.
I mean, we still have things from slave traditions, you know, that where we were put in dire straits and things like that that aren't our culture, you know, that we adapted. So there are things that I want to, you know, deal with. And it's not, sometimes it's not even about telling a joke. It's about the joke cultivating conversations, deep conversations about some of these things. And that's the intellectual part, is like, hey, a joke is a joke, but like, one of the reasons why I want to do this is to open up the book about things, to be able to talk about stuff that some people aren't comfortable about talking. And I'm not comfortable, like the LGBTQ community. Like, that's what I felt that diversity, equity, and inclusion thing was about. And I'm like, equity, Black people, foundational Black people who still have roots here, who haven't been killed off, have the most equity in America, but can't cash out on it, you know? And we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. It feels like we should still be on, we're still on chapter 4 of dealing with some of America's problems, but now we want to skip to chapter 32. And it's like, we still haven't dealt with this, and you want to deal with that now. So, and I've explained that to people, how I feel about, you know, like, I will never talk bad about anybody of that community, because I feel like everybody should be an ally of everyone. Right. There's things that I don't understand about that community that we should have conversations with. So like, if I'm not understanding it, I know other people aren't understanding it. And I'm going to have jokes for that community. But again, it's not going to be disrespectful. It's not going to be distasteful, and it's not going to be challenging their humanity, right? I'm not about disrespecting people. Let's have conversations about this. Let's point out, like, I'm a fat dude with titties. Like, I know that. Like, that is hilarious. Like your viewers haven't seen me. Like, if
they might after this clip,
they might have to see me. You know what I'm saying? But like, I've been a fat guy my whole life. Like, but if somebody else called me fat, I'm gonna be mad about it? No. Okay, I'm fat. Like, I know what I eat. I know my dietary habits, you know? So there's things that I could point out about myself that aren't the best, right? But am I degrading my humanity because I call myself fat? You know? Like, there's a lot of like homelessness in LA. I want to talk about that just so that we could come up with a viable solution. You know, this is $1 billion industry that for homelessness. Why aren't these people having homes? Why don't we have people off the streets and getting help that they need? There's a lot of mentally ill people. There's a lot of drug addicted people out there. There's something funny in there to talk about, but how do we talk? And that's the thing for me, is how do I make that a digestible topic, make it funny, but then also cultivate like thought about that, you know, compassionate thought. Because things, y'all aren't down here, but things are getting worse and worse and worse, you know? And how do we talk about that in an easier way than the political forum where people are just arguing about different points of how to get things done and nothing's getting done, you know?
Well, the crazy part, the homeless in America has started to rise even more, but it's due to job markets not being available. It's due to housing not being available. It's due to people not being able to earn a wage from jobs that previously years ago would provide a living substance that would provide you with housing, food, and all the things you needed. Because even here where I live, in the Idaho area, I was at the gas station. I was like, yo, that's a real homeless person. And I mean, like, a real like homeless person on
Southern
like
Idaho?
strung out on in this part of Idaho. I'm in the Boise area, so I guess and I was like, that kind of hurts my heart, because it's winters out here. It's all type of heat, and you see people like, you know, looking at them funny, like, get out of here. But it's like, hey man, can I get you some water? Can I get you something to eat? I'm not gonna give you no money because I don't want to feed that habit of you, but I want to feed you. And sometimes people will say yes, sometimes people will say no, and you got to live with that. But I get where you're coming from with that, because awareness of the homeless situation, because we all a paycheck away from being homeless at this point. The way the government is running, with 1%ers getting more tax breaks in the middle class or poverty class, whatever we got to go under, working class. So I appreciate you saying that, and I can't wait to hear your jokes. I'm gonna have to fly back home or drive back home and go to a set See, you know what I mean? I could be like security. If somebody start heckling, just go up and grab them, get up out of the club, get out the club.
Give me some time. Give me some time. I have a lot of work to do. Like, I'm only 6 to 7 months in. I have a ton of work to do. I have a lot of more reading and a lot more studying to do for my craft. A lot more time I need to put in. You know, I need to start going to these open mics even more. My bad.
I got to be that white guy that cuts people.
Yeah.
The two black
guys. Look at
him. I got to be the white guy that cuts the two black guys off. You can't. You heard me for the last 10 minutes be completely quiet because I was like, I can't say anything here. I can't say anything. But we're running out of time, and I'm like, great. Now I got to cut the two black guys off after this complaint about a bunch of them. Like,
Bryce, you can write a formal complaint to me. I'll put it in.
No. Hey, Cam, you're good. You're an ally. It's all right.
All right. So before we take on off, do you have another show that's coming up? And if so, preach it here. Let them know where you can find you at.
No, I do not yet, but I am still working. I'll be at open mics at Lyric Hyperion, the Third Wheel, Flappers, and I'm trying to go to some other places so I'm not just being redundant with the same material around the same comics to get the same laugh or whatever reaction. But no, I'm just going to be working and trying auditioning at different places because there is a lot of different little comedy spots out here in LA and SoCal. So I'm just working, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Before we take on off, we'll end it with some, we usually do promotions. I don't think we have time to get to them. We'll end it with a sports topic. We were talking about, before you got on here, the Celtics and the Sixers series. What do you think of Joel Embiid? What does he got to get going on? Because right now, when he plays, the Sixers have lost the last two games. Have you watched any of it as well? I should.
Yeah. I almost felt like James Harden, like I don't know. I think he was just too good in the first game. What did he drop, like 45 points without Embiid being there?
45, 46? Almost got a triple.
Okay.
I think it was like 45 with like 6 rebounds, 6 assists. He was on. He was back to old James.
But it's almost like that spread the floor a little more for him, right? When Embiid's in there, he kind of clogs it, which he needs to, But I don't know. It doesn't seem like anybody else was helping him yesterday. I don't know if he wasn't moving the ball fast enough when the double teams were coming. But also they had the Celtics had how many different people on this guy? Like 18? Marcus Smart was guarding him at one time and doing decent. And I'm like, yo, why don't you? And I know this is a flopping league now, but you have to post this. You can't do a fade away from the free throw line when you have Marcus Smart on you as the MVP, bro. And I know Marcus Smart is a great defender for guards and forwards, but you are the MVP dominant big man.
There's a weight advantage.
There's
a big weight description.
Yeah. Punish
Cam,
this
you better
dude.
take us out in a second.
Yeah.
Punish this dude, But hey, right. My bad.
No, you're good. So we're going to head on out. Before we head on out, I want to say, Bryce, thank you for coming on. We appreciate your time, making time for us. You can catch Bryce at The Spicy Diaper. Again, that is at _Spicy Diaper. If not, we'll get his new handle. If that one goes down, we'll always promote you, Bryce. Thank you again.
Cancel culture hit again.
Anything nice you want to say before you leave? We got about 30 seconds, so say it quickly.
Hey, thank you guys for supporting me. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate hearing you guys every Monday. It's almost a miss when you guys aren't putting out content. The people miss you, I really appreciate. I can't, and a thing. I have a problem with gratitude. I just want to thank you guys so much for being a friend, and Cam for accepting me as well.